Hi, and welcome everyone to your 1MC Experience Platform Training. My name is Robin DeFelice, and I'll be your trainer today. Whether you're a new organizer or a current one, this training will walk you through the basics of the 1MC Experience Platform. Now, to get you started, let's talk about what you can expect from today's video. We will be walking through and doing demonstrations for you on basic features and functions. We will also be doing that demonstration through the website version of the 1MC Experience platform, not the mobile view, but your experience should be the same. And we'll talk about that in a little bit with the adaptability piece. Now, what can you expect from today's format? From today's format, we will be doing a review of the layout of the 1MC Experience platform, where I take you through the basics of where to find things, do a little bit of that navigation, and then I'm going to take you through the key functions that make you that 1MC organizer that's efficient and effective. We're going to do those basic pieces around the presentation and application aspects. And then the other thing that we're not going to be doing is showing you every feature. That would just be totally overwhelming for you. But what we want you to do is just have those key fundamentals so that you can get started and or just refresh yourself on what you need to do to optimize your experience, not only for yourselves as organizers, but for your community. So to begin, what we need to do is log into that 1MC Experience platform. So let me start off by sharing my screen, and we'll get to that logging in. Now you can see on screen the 1millioncups.com website is in front of you, and we're moving over to that top right corner where it says sign in or register, and I'll be selecting that for you, and then we'll be signing in. And you should have been provided a username and at least a basic password that you will change, but I will log in now to my version, and here we go. And once you log in, what will happen is you'll be brought back to the 1 Million Cups page, but you will see in the top right corner a little symbol. Now, if you've never logged in before, it'll probably be a grayed out image. For me, it's my face. So that's where we're at. We've now successfully logged in. Now, let's talk about navigating. The first thing we need to do is navigate to our community dashboard. So let me show you how to do that. We are headed to that icon up in the right-hand corner. So for me, I'm going to select my face or my profile image, and then I will actually select profile from the screen. And then when I do that, we will be brought into our profile settings. Now, the thing that we're looking at here to get you navigated to your community dashboard resides below your profile image. And again, yours might be a gray icon of a cutout of a profile, but for me, obviously, it's my image here. So you can see right below, click here to access your community dashboard. Now, before I go in to just doing this, I want to talk to you just a moment about navigating the entire dashboard, because you might need to come back to this place to get back to your dashboard. So let me demonstrate that for you right now. I'm going to select and go into, click here to access the community. Now I'm going to use a couple features to do navigation. First and foremost, when you're doing a lot of your work on the screen, the pieces from the words applications over to team chat is where you will do the standard majority of all of your navigation. There will be from time to time that you will be inside, let's say, an application, and you will need to use your back browser button to back out and come back to this home screen. I will be demonstrating that throughout this presentation, so don't worry about remembering it per se. I will reinforce it as we go. So that takes care of navigating within your system. So now let's talk about a couple of things that are really important, because as I do this demonstration, you may be walking along with me. So one thing I want to be clear about is the browser compatibility. Now for me, I'm using Microsoft Edge today. I do know that this also works in Safari and in Google Chrome. If you start to do anything within this platform and do not see the same result you're seeing here on screen, it may be due to your browser not being compatible. So let's just keep that in mind. Now, another thing that we want to talk about is the view of my screen. Maybe your view doesn't look like mine. So let's just do this, for example. This one's a big one. Now, my screen looks very nice with these columns laid out, and that's called the Kanban view. And maybe Yours looks like this, which is the table view. When I do any of the demonstrations in this video today, they will be in the Kanban view. So you saw me do a toggle here. Let me zoom in so that you can see what I did. Now, it's over here in this, excuse me, it's over here. And let me just get my mouse back over there so I can zoom in for you. And again, it came off screen, but here we go. This is what I was toggling and changing. So let's go back to that Kanban view. Now when you do this work for yourself, you can do whichever way you would like. I like the Kanban view for this reason alone. It shows me my process of things I need to do in the order I need to do them. And we'll see that play out as I do some more demonstrations for you. Now, the other thing I would like to point out is the adaptive design. So maybe you're sitting here looking at your screen compared to this video and saying, but I don't see team chat or settings. I see the word more. So let me get there. So maybe you're seeing this. That's okay. You haven't lost anything. Your view is really not that different than mine. This is where adaptive design comes in. And that's why I said when you do your web experience as well, if you're doing this through a mobile device, whether tablet or phone, you're going to get the same look and effect because this is what adaptive design does. It shrinks to fit the reality of what you have to view. So as you can see, if I click on the word more, we're going to see settings and team chat rolled up in there. Now, if I go ahead and just let my view zoom back out so that I can see everything, settings and team chat come right back. So that's the adaptive design. I wanted to put these things up front for you because as you walk this video today, I don't want you feeling lost or confused on what might be different from mine versus yours. So hopefully that's helped. Now, if that hasn't helped, let's talk about getting you help. First and foremost, we have a 1MC Slack channel that you're probably already familiar with, but that hashtag technology is the channel that you can go to seek help and assistance for basics. You might actually get some of your questions answered there automatically. You can put questions in. You can also put in best practices and tips. Now, if you're having a real feature or a function issue, for example, logging in or anything like that, or you've logged in and something's just quite still not working right, down in this bottom right-hand corner, and I'll zoom in for you there, that's the contact us. And all you need to do is click that and you can chat with somebody to assist you and or submit a help ticket to get assistance over time. So those are your ways in which you can get help. Now, the other thing that we can talk about is the community dashboard. So we've moved on, we're in here, we're logged in, we know how to get help if we need it. So let's take a look at this community dashboard we have in front of us. And why don't I walk that for you from the top left over to the right and then down through. Okay, so in the top left, you should see the name of your 1MC community right there in the top left. Obviously, mine's a little bit of a test, but that's okay. We don't want to make mistakes in a live system because we don't want to affect anything that our community needs. But if we move over to the right, we're going to see an edit button. That edit button is the same as the settings button down in the tabs below the words community dashboard. And that edit button allows you to literally edit basic features and functions that show out on your community page to your community and your organizers. And I'll show you a couple features there in a moment. The invite new organizer button is the same as it says, invite a new organizer. Maybe you have a great candidate in mind and that's how you invite them to apply to be an organizer. The redemption code management button, I'm going to set that aside. That's something from 1MCHQ, and I want them to be able to share with you all of what goes on with that button specifically. But there is a drop-down arrow that's right beside that redemption code management, and there's a couple features in there, one of which is requesting a new event cadence, or the other option is if you were stepping down because your time is up. Now, that takes care of just that piece across the top. Let's start to walk down. There's a box right here. We see an announcement. This announcement section is not yours for you to edit. It's actually 1MCHQ's way of communicating with all the communities that are part of the 1MC Nation. So this is where they will put any important information for you as organizers to know about. And then you can either look at it, respond to it, and do whatever you need to do. Where we're going is where you all need to do your work, and that's in this Welcome to Your Community dashboard. Here it is. This is mission control for you all doing the awesome things you do as organizers. So what do we have in front of us here? Again, these are all buttons or tabs, whichever way you would like to call them, from the word application over to team chat. So let me just walk through and explain each one of these buttons for you and what it's going to do. With applications, it's simple enough. It starts the process of application. So whether a person has applied, whether they've drafted an application, that's all sitting here in this first tab. The presenters tab is the next step after an application is submitted and approved. So in the presenter tab, we keep that workflow going by moving the presenter from a position of being accepted to having their presentation set up to being coached to finalizing that presentation. The events tab is obviously the next step because we have all those 1MCs if we have all those presenters, and we need a location in which to manage those events. So we will do that there underneath the events tab. Now under communications, this is where you would do any of your distributions to your community or anybody on your mailing list. Now we don't go over this function and feature in this training. There are other resources that detail the steps and processes to this particular function in its own video, and you can find that in the resource library. Next to communications is sponsors, and sponsors and organizers are both things in which you can do exactly that. Manage your sponsors, whether current or new or former, and same with organizers, whether they're current organizers, those applications, or former organizers. Then to the right of organizers, we have metrics, and I will be showing you a little bit about that later on in today's video. And that is us building our data over time by utilizing the 1MC platform. So I'll get into explaining how that starts. And then at the end of the video, I'll be showing you what those metrics look like and what you can do with that. And then the settings tab I already indicated to you is the same as the edit that we saw up above, and team chat, which I'm going to show you a whole bunch about chat and communications here in a little bit, but team chat is your way of talking to any organizer through the platform. No more of that emailing individual or group and then wondering what was done next. You've got team chat to help you out here. So that takes you through the lay of the land of your 1MC experience platform and your dashboard. That's your community dashboard. So where do we go from here? We will be looking at how we begin doing things to communicate, not just so much inside the system, but on our 1MC community page. So let me start there with you. And for us to do that, we need to utilize either the Edit or Settings tab. So I am going to select that Edit button here up top. And you can see it pops up in a window. For some of you, if you don't like this layout, you can close this and go to the Settings tab down below, and you're going to get the same piece, but it's going to be baked right into the screen for you as opposed to popping up in a window. Now, that is a great indication of compatibility. If a window does not pop up for you, like you saw just a moment ago on the screen, you may need to change your browser and use either Microsoft Edge, Safari, or Google Chrome. So what do we need to do in here? Let's make an announcement, our own announcement, not one from 1MCHQ. So the first thing we're going to do, and we see it right here on screen, is the announcement section. So how do we edit? Let me zoom in on this little guy that I've just highlighted. It's a pencil, and it'll be grayed out. So for any field that you can edit within this platform, you will see a gray pencil icon. When you roll over it, it highlights orange, and you can then select it to begin doing your editing. And that's what we'll do now. So here we go. Once we select that icon, this will open up into it's a stereotypical word processing input area here that we have. So you can format your words, the font, the colors, the style of them, whatever you'd like. You can even actually do hyperlinking as well. So this is how you go in and change an announcement that would showcase on your 1MC community page. Now, this is what I do from a feature and function standpoint when I'm trying to be efficient. I actually have my announcements stored in a repository. And here what I've done, and I'll show you why I'm doing this too. So here I have in this Word document all these old announcements plus my new one that I need. And actually these announcements were vetted with the other organizers before we, put it up here. So It's a nice feature to do, and it's a great thing to share across your organizing community or the community of organizers for your community, excuse me. So all I'm doing is I'm coming into this Word document. Again, this isn't provided for you. This is a best practice I'm recommending so that you have a stored record of all your announcements. I'm coming in here and using Control-C to copy the text that I've highlighted, and I'm toggling back over to the website to replace the information here. So I will put my mouse back into this box, select Control-A to select everything, and Control-V to paste over it. And there's my new announcement. But we're not done yet. I need to save. So at the bottom, I will select Save, and there we go. It's done. And it's brought me to the front page because, yes, you've guessed it, this changes instantly. So here is a couple reasons, and there's that announcement. That's the reason, the couple reasons why I was saying it's great to put it into a Word document. One, you can store it and you know that you have it saved. Two, Microsoft Word or Grammarly helps you with any type of editing that you need to do, whether grammar or punctuation or spelling. And so you know that it's accurate one time because once you put it out there and save, it's live. So you want to make sure that you don't have to do it more than one time. I know because I'm the person that likes to type in things immediately, then proofread them after they're live. So I'm trying to save you that trouble by making the suggestion and best practice of keeping it in a Word document. So let's move on from announcements. We have that announcement, but now we've got to get back into our community dashboard. So let's walk that navigation. We're going to our profile icon. We're selecting profile, and then we're going to select underneath our profile image, the community dashboard link. We're back at our link into our dashboard, and now we'll select settings again because the next place we're going is we're going to talk about not the announcement, because we just announced we need some folks to do some 1MCs, but let's say we have a 1MC coming up. Maybe it's today, maybe it's next week, but nonetheless, we need to begin collecting the data that will feed our metrics. And this is where you get some information. The QR code that's in front of you that you see on my screen, that QR code is pivotal to you growing your metrics inside your 1MC experience platform. And again, I will show you what some of those metrics look like at the end of this video. But it sits here. How do you get it out of here to provide to people that are attending your 1MCs? You can take a screenshot of this. You can take a photo with your phone, but you can do all sorts of different things that will allow you to have a great way to collect the data. So if it's online in Zoom, put it on a PowerPoint. If you're physical in a physical location, you can still put it up on the PowerPoint, or you can print it off. And as folks are entering the event area, you can have them take and scan with their phone so that they can make sure to register their attendance with you all. So that's your QR code. So the final thing I want to show you is a place that you can reposit information, and I will do it through the power of showing you a cool thing somebody did with a QR code. And so what I have here is, this is from another community, and I really appreciate that they shared this with me. And so look at this. They took the QR code and they put it on this image, and they put it on their PowerPoints, they print it out, they hang it up, and I really liked it. And they said, hey, you can utilize the same QR layout. We'll give you our image. So this is actually my QR code, not theirs. Another question you might be asking about QR codes as I'm talking here is do I need a new QR code every time that I have a new 1MC? The answer is no. This QR code is your one QR code you need for the rest of collecting data for your attendees. So be sure to utilize this for every 1MC you have in the future. So the reason why I showed you that image is because I like it so much. I want to make sure that any organizer that's helping to manage a 1MC for me is going to have access to that image that I created. How can I do that? That is where the last feature is inside settings that I want to show you, and that's files. I like to call it the organizer's repository. So anything that's sitting in files, you all as organizers can access globally, which is awesome. So let me show you how to add a file real quick. Right across from the Word file to the right is a button that says Add Files, and I will select that. It will pop up into a select file chooser. This is very common for us to do, so I'm not going to get into the details of it. We usually know how to go find a file on our PC or phone and pull it in and save it. So I'm selecting the upload piece. I'm going to navigate to that image. I'm going to select it, and then you'll get 2 check marks, one to verify that it uploaded and that it's done. We see that occurring here on screen. And then we'll get a second one that'll land in the middle. Right there it is. One file was added into our account. And you see it's already populated itself in files. So now if you were an organizer in my community, you would have access to that image too. Which brings me to the first item that I talked about, which was that announcements Word document that I showed you. You can put that here too. You can update it and manage it so that the community of organizers can utilize it. So that's the awesome piece about the file. Again, organizer repository that I like to call it. So those are some great features to get you started inside the settings tab. So let's walk back from the settings tab back to our community dashboard. And so remember I said that you might have to use your back browser button. And that's what I'm about to do right now. I'm using my back browser button, that little arrow in the top left corner, to get back to my community dashboard. So now that we know how to get back, and again, I'll select myself back to the community dashboard. Here I am. Now that we know how to do some things to communicate outwardly to our community, how do we communicate as organizers inside the 1MC Experience platform? Well, you've guessed it, I'm about to show you. So we have 3 ways to do communications. Now, all 3 are a chat feature, but they all serve their own function. So the first one I will show you is what is called Team Chat, and it's sitting right there in your community dashboard options. And that allows you as organizers to communicate globally with one another in general. And what I mean by general is anything that you might need to do as a group of organizers to manage the community or the platform. And so I've opened it up and I'm showing you a sample of what's in here. As you can see, it looks just like any other social media platform. You can tag an individual and you can communicate with them in this manner, and you can exchange back and forth. Now, just like any social media platform, if you do not do the tagging, there is no notification to that individual that there is information in here for them to pay attention to. So it's really important to stress right now, tagging is critical to making sure that you keep that timely conversation going. Otherwise, all the other organizers need to guess when communications have been sent out. So let's just walk down through what you have as chat options in the chat feature for the global team chat. You have your regular postings, you have polls, and you have questions. So if I go over to poll and I look in here, I can see that we have the options to create a question and then a choice. Did you like this video? I'm just making something up right now. And then we can do a yes, and we can do a no. And if I wanted to, I could even add a choice and say maybe. And once that's in here, here's the thing. You don't see any communication. How does anybody know my polls here? Well, what I can do right below video is I can do a CC and I can put all of the people that I want to tag. So tagging works just like it works in any other platform. You start out with the @ symbol, and then you start to type in the individual that you're looking for, and it starts to pop up the list. And as you keep typing, the list will narrow. So you can keep doing this, and we can have, you know, a test in here. I'm just picking out a couple of my pieces, and that completes it. So there, I've tagged the people I need to make sure they take the poll, and I've created the poll. Now I'm going to select Ask in the bottom right over there, and here's my poll. Now, both of the individuals tagged will get an email, plus they will get a notification in their profile, right beside their profile image up here. We have a little bell that allows you to know that you have a message. So right here. Now, I didn't tag myself, so that's not going to have a number. But if I logged in, it would show me that somebody has provided a notice and tagged me. So that's how you do tagging. And that's a poll. You also can post a question or pose a question, ask that question, and then if you have any details, put the details below. Again, make sure you do tagging to make people aware that you're asking a question to the general population of organizers. And if you just want to do a general post like you would in any other type of social media platform, that's the first tab, posting. And as you can see, there's plenty of them here. inside post. It's a general collection of all the questions, any conversations you started in post, and any polls that you've created. So remember that the polls is going to kind of accumulate all of them, whereas polls and questions will keep everything separate for you. So that's team chat. Again, anything global that you all need to do as organizers, whether it's when are we going to meet next, do we need to decide on the next quarter's events or goals, that type of thing, you can do all of that right through here. Well, what if you want to chat about something specific, like let's say a particular application? Well, let's go there. I'm going to use my back button, my back browser button up top, and I'm going to bring myself back into the community dashboard. And what I'm going to now do is actually look at the other two features of chat, because remember I said there were three, we went through one. So what I'm going to do is select this company, Cup of Java, I believe, and here we go. Same chat feature, but it's sitting here now. Now, the difference is with the chat feature, when you're talking or chatting with a applicant, you're only going to get a post option. But there's something really nice about the post option, which I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to remind you in a little bit in this training, is right here. You can put attachments. So sometimes the frustration comes in that we're ineffective or in, not having the efficiencies we want because we're managing multiple emails and exchanges back and forth. Here we can do this centrally. Not only that, then another organizer can pick up if you have to table off of something. So it's really nice that this is all here. So when you're looking at talking with the presenter, this is literally what it says, presenter chat. So in this example here, we're asking because of the application, they're not sure whether or not they would like to do a live stream presentation. We're just simply asking, hey, could you tell us why? And then as a good best practice, I'm saying and reminding this applicant to please CC me so that I'm tagged and that I am aware now because I'll get a message if they respond to me in that way. So that's really important too, is that tagging feature. So the next piece, so that's the presenter. You know how to tag the presenter and then tag yourself to remind them to tag you. So now what if you, again, as organizers, need to talk about this specific application? There's one more place to go, and we see it right up top here in the top right. It's this launch internal chat, launch internal chat, which is over here. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Now that's going to pop up in a new window and it's unto itself. So we'll see another tab open up, and that will launch the chat for you all. Now this is going to very much look like post poll questions. This is very much looking like what you just saw as team chat. The difference here is this chat and the communications you have are directly related only to this application. So you can have a nice conversation, especially if you're not sure you're going to approve an application. Here's a great way to have that conversation. And I actually set something up so you could see it. So for example, make it very easy for yourself. A great best practice is use the poll. Do you, other organizers, make sure to tag them? Do you think we should approve this? Yes, no, ask for more details. There you go. As simple as that. So that takes care of communicating within the 1MC Experience platform. We've done it so that we can just chat in general, and we've done it against an application, which means we should probably look at some of those applications. So why don't we move there next? Let's go to that workflow that you typically work on. And for most of you, that's applications, presentations, 1MCs, finalizing those 1MCs that have occurred, and then moving on. Now, how do we start? We start with applications. So let's scroll down in our community dashboard, and we're going to move to the applications tab. It's already open for us because that's what it defaults to. And what we see in front of us is 4 columns, and that tells us the workflow. An application is started by an individual, and then once they submit it, it moves itself automatically. Yes, I just said that. Moves itself automatically to application submitted. And once it's submitted, we as the organizers do the thing we do, and we either accept or decline it. So let me walk you through accepting and declining. First off, I'm going to pick one of these companies. I'll just pick this 9-company presentation right here, and I will actually just accept it. Same elements apply. I want to edit a field, and therefore I will need to utilize an edit icon to do as such. But before I go there, let's just make sure you're grounded and familiar with the application. To the left, There are 2 columns, and those are the information of the applicant and the application. To the right is where you will have features or functions to help you manage things, such as the presenter chat or launching your internal chat. And then eventually, if this is approved, this is where you would also, to the right, manage scheduling a presentation, a 1MC. So to get us going even to those things, let's get us to application approved, because we all agreed. We looked at it, we agreed. So we changed the status. I click that little pencil icon and we move from application submitted. I am just going to now select application select accepted, and I'm going to select save. And that's it. Guess what happens? This application now moves to accepted. So let's go back out and see where our application has moved itself, because this piece I want to be clear on for you all, because it might trip up a little bit of us, but we'll find out here in a moment. Now, we expect to see 9 companies sitting in the accepted column, and we do not. So don't think you've lost it. What happens when it's accepted? Well, they become a presenter. So guess what? We need to go to the presenters tab to see this. So I'm going to show you that it's sitting right in here. And you might have to scroll for it depending on how many applications you have. And there it is right at the bottom. There is your presentation we just accepted. Now, I told you I'd also show you how to decline an application. So let's go back to the application tab, and I will now decline an application for you. So I'm going to pick this Acme presentation, and I am going to decline it. If you said, well, I just need to go to the status in the second column over here to the left, select that pencil icon and select declined, because I saw that before. You're right, you do. Now let's click save. Guess what happens? We get an error because maybe this is our first time doing it, so it's preemptive. Now, is that error a bad thing? No, it's actually just helping you remember you need to do something else to finalize that decline. So this is telling you you need a reason. Now here you have 2 options. It's either a duplicate or a no response. So this is where another best practice is going to come to play that I will recommend to you all. Here I need to select no response. If it was an actual duplicate, I would decline on a duplicate. But the majority of the time it's a no response. But you do have a need or a reason to say why you've declined. So what can you use as a tool, feature, or function inside the 1MC Experience platform to do that? You can use Launch Internal Chat, and on the back side, you can put down the reasons why you and the organizers declined this particular applicant. This is really important because we all know organizers eventually have a time where they are no longer the organizer, and maybe this application or applicant comes back again. And so you have some history on them so that you know what decisions were made. And of course, though an automatic email gets sent to the presenter letting them know it was declined, you can also put a message here in presenter chat communicating to the presenter on the reason and rationale of why they were declined. So that's how you decline an application. Now, if I go back, if I use my back browser button, I'll come to the community dashboard and I will see, or should see, that this individual was declined. Now, for some reason, it's not showing in this piece. It might take a moment to catch up with me, but that's where we're at with declining them. Now, I'm just going to go back again because I realized I was in my one community chat. So I'm going to close out that other window now for us. And I'm going to move on because we have presenters to deal with now, right? We've got a lot in that list. You saw them. So let's go there. So in applications, remember, you can decline an applicant. You can accept an applicant. You can even reinstate an application. So if it was declined, you can move it back over again underneath status and bring it back around to where you need it to go. A critical one important note that I will bring up about applications is this. If you have an individual you've been working on and they have not submitted their application, you as an organizer cannot do that submission for them. Only an applicant can submit their application. You can manage it starting from submission on, though. So, all right, now we're in Presenters tab. I've opened it up. We see that there's some definitions sitting here below the word Presenters, and that's to define each of the tabs that are running below, from accepted to canceled. So let's look at each one of these in turn. We have an accepted application. The applicant's been notified. You as organizers have been notified. And now what do we need to do next? We need to schedule. So let's look at scheduling a 1MC for one of these. So I'm going to pick this first one that's here in the list. I'm going to pick in the accepted column, Aggie and Butch presentation. And here we have an application. We see that it's been accepted, but we see right here in this right-hand column, the second column to the left here, that the event has no presentation date. And now remember, I said over to the right is where we do management as organizers, and you see that schedule presentation button right there now. Remember, it wasn't there before, but as soon as they're accepted, that appears. Now you or the participant, or excuse me, the presenter, would actually have the ability to do the scheduling of the presentation. Now, the one thing that I will tell you on top of this is there is a 48-hour window to a presentation where a presenter cannot manage their date any longer. So that means if it's Monday and the presenter is trying to cancel for Wednesday, they can't do that. They need to work with you directly. That gives you as the organizer more control and more latitude to manage 1MCs the way you need to for your community. So during this conversation, I did select the schedule presentation button, and now we see some information has appeared on our screen where we can actually do some selecting. Now, I'm an organizer. I'm just doing the selection for this individual. You can see that I have a list of in-person and potentially in-person and on virtuals that you can do. So you can have a mix in your list. It's totally okay. But note that you're going to see the closest date to you to the furthest date out. Now, you may have actually not see any date for a certain Wednesday, and that might be you already have 2 presenters for that 1MC, and therefore it removes itself from your list so you don't do any overbooking or duplication. So that's a pretty nice feature as well. I'll just pick this first one right here, 1214, put it in, and then I'll submit. Now, what happens in the presenter tab is the same thing in the application tab. The applications will move across from left to right for you as the workflow is accomplished. So there isn't a date now on the presentation, and the next thing we begin to do is the coaching. So if I go back out using my back browser and I go to the dashboard, I should probably see in the coaching tab that application. There it is. And it even shows the presentation date that's been selected for it. Now, with coaching, the reason why I brought this up is, and let me open up this presentation, with coaching, the nice thing is you get a communication once the date's been selected. Not only does the presenter get an email letting them know that the 1MC has been selected for them and or that they've selected it, but you as organizers are also notified that a 1MC has been set up. So that gives you that notice to go in and look in the coaching. Now, here's where you can start to do the coaching. So you might want to provide some resources from that organizer repository. And again, remember, I showed you this little guy down here, this little attachment piece, so you can provide them resources, tips, and tools, or they can provide to you their presentation, their PowerPoint slide deck, whatever they might have, even if it's a handout, they can do it through here as well too. So start to see the full functionality and opportunities you have with this presenter chat, especially when it comes to coaching. Now, when we're done with coaching, there's not much we have to do, right? They do their presentation during the 1MC, and then we have to do some other things, which is finalize them. So there's a little bit of gap in time there. But what we have, yes, you've guessed it, we have things finalizing in a finalizing tab. Now, did I move these here? No. Again, once that 1MC occurs, the application will move again. So it won't move automatically after your 1MC, but by the next day, it should be in that finalizing presentation column. So it sits here in a waiting area until you all decide as organizer where it goes. Now, when the applicant applied, they probably notified whether or not that presentation could be published or not, and maybe they provided a reason. So that's what helps you get to these last 2 columns, the complete and published and the complete and content hidden. So let's take a look at 2. I'm going to show you how to do both. And here's again where I'm going to show you another great best practice that you and your organizer community can do for you so that it's a little efficient. I have a Word document and I actually have 2 presentations that I need to put information for in. And there's two of them. One of which is not agreeing to have their information published due to an IP issue, and another one that's agreeing. So I have two pieces of information, the video link because these were actually virtuals, and then for one I have a website because they gave it to us so we can add that additional information. So I wanted to show you this, and if you're wondering where this goes, it goes in that organizer repository we've been talking about, because that way anybody can help to finalize presentations. So let me go with that first one we have here, this VDSV presentation. This one actually is allowing us to provide their information. So this one's going to be complete and published. So there's a couple things I have to do here. You're probably already recalling that you need to change the status of the application, and you would be right. And so we have this icon over here where we have finalizing presentation, but now we're selecting complete and published. Now, if we did this, we wouldn't have all the information we need. We actually need that link to the presentation, and we need the website. Now, where do we put that information in? We're putting it in over here to the left in the first column where it says video link and slider website link. So let me go grab that information, and I'm going to use quick functions such as Control-C for copy and Control-V for paste. And so here I go. I'm going to Control Copy and then just highlight and put my button or browser, my cursor into this field and copy paste that in. And then I will go back to that Word document and I will repeat to get, and I just realized I copy pasted the wrong one. So even I can make a mistake here. So let's copy the right link and get it in there. And then I'll come back and I'll grab that second link that I need. Here we go. And then we select and we paste. Now it's done. So we've changed the status, we've put in the link, and this company actually gave us an extra link, and so we're putting it in there to make it whole. So I'm saving it. Now, again, when we go to the community dashboard, we should see this sitting in the complete published. So it looks like it's saved. So I'm going to go back with my back browser button. I'm going to look under presenters, and I'm going to look underneath complete and published, and there we go. There it is. Perfect. Now I have another one, and they cannot do a publication due to IP issues. So an IP as an intellectual property, not your address off of your router. So I just wanted to be clear that we understood IP meant intellectual property. So here again, we have the organization. We need to change its status. So we need to go to the status field, click that icon, and we need to change it from finalizing to content hidden. So now, if you, excuse me, as I get that selected here, if I select save, we're going to have, you guessed it, we should have an error, but we did not. The reason being is you need a reason, and that reason was already there. So I'm actually going to come back and edit so that you can see what I'm talking about. If this was blank and I saved, it would let me know that I need to put in an issue. But there's another thing I want to encourage you to do as a best practice. Put the link in for the presentation. And the reason being is even though you're hiding that information, this makes this record 100% complete. Without the link to the presentation, it is not a complete application because they did do the presentation. And you all may need to refer back to this link for your own private needs where you're not publishing it, but you need to pull some information maybe from that presentation. So I like to make sure that the record is totally complete by putting that in. So now I'm going to save. No error messages. This is good to go. Let's press that back browser button one more time, and we should now see this in our content, complete content hidden. So if I bring my cursor over, and there it is. We see it 3 down. Candy Company is now in the complete content hidden. Now, you see one more column, and that's canceled. Cancel is a great way to manage any presentation that cannot go off the day that you wanted it to. So for example, the individual trying to change their Wednesday presentation on Monday, just put it over in the cancel column. Let me show you how to do that real quick, because if you do this, then it allows you to not have to ask 1MCHQ for some help. And that's a nice thing to be able to do when you can manage everything yourself. So again, we would just go to status, change the status from coaching to canceled, and select save. You don't need to put in a reason. It will just move itself over. So here, I'll go back to the dashboard. We'll see it right here, canceled. And the reason is if you would allow that presentation to sit in coaching and run to the day that it was actually supposed to present, it's going to move through finalizing, even though there was nothing to finalize. The other thing is you can't go back and reschedule it after the fact, but if you cancel it, you can. So I'm going to now show you that I can take this right back out and put it where I want to. So here I can select from canceled, and I can bring it back and say that it's in coaching again and save. Now, the reason why I did that was, again, so that I could have better management over that particular event so that I didn't need to involve other folks in managing it. So that takes care of everything we do to get an application in, to getting a presenter ready to go, and then finalizing that awesome thing that they did during the 1MC. So what else can I tell you before we go from this training today? I need to show you a little bit about what I promised, which was metrics. So let's look at that now as our final thing. And so here we go. I'm selecting the metrics tab from our community dashboard, and the metrics are built in majority off of that QR code that we discussed in the very beginning, and that is why I want you to see this information. There are different types of metrics that you can get underneath the metrics tab. So here you can get a 90-day view of attendance at events. Of course, if you had more events coming, then you would see more events. So if you're a weekly 1MC, just imagine 90 days worth of weekly 1MC sitting on this chart and it building out for you. And then you have types of information that's also essential and useful, especially if you have goals that you're trying to meet, such as different types of demographic information for you, how folks identify themselves, that type of thing. And then this is the one I'm going to land on and end on, because this is one of the most important things. So whether you're a new organizer or a current organizer, if you're looking for a way to get started and get going from this training that we've done in this video, this is a great place to start with this metric in front of you. It is how many presenters are in the pipeline. If you're trying to manage the workload, this will give you a great sense and one snapshot of what to do. So for example, this big chunk over here, we have 13 that need to be finalized. Maybe we just need to assign an organizer to do that. And over here, this yellow chunk, we have 9 accepted, but they haven't selected a presentation date. Maybe we need to assign an organizer to get that moving as well. That is what's really nice about this particular metric, and the reason why I'm encouraging you to use this as your first step when we're done with this video. Which actually kind of brings me to my conclusion. So I'm going to stop sharing now and just finish off with a couple of little tips and reminders for you. And I just want you to have a couple next steps here. First and foremost, again, if you were looking for a video mass mailer information, go into the resource library in the 1MC piece. That's part of your 1MC community dashboard anyway. The resource library is sitting right there for you, one click away, and there's a video in there for the mass mailer that you can totally do. It walks you through soup to nuts on how to do the mass mailing, and you'll really actually enjoy that. I think it's a nice way to figure out that feature. And again, you can pause and play just like you can with this video. And then the next thing is just familiarize yourself with the workflows. I know we went over a lot today, but that's why this video is here. Pause me at any time, play through a piece, practice it, but start to understand the workflow and the opportunities that the workflow brings to you as an organizer to make it efficient and easy for all organizers within your community. It'll really help to, just make your life a little bit better, but it'll also make the community more awesome for it. And finally, if you're seeking help, please remember that you can seek help through the dashboard, or you can go to that Slack channel in the 1MC, that hashtag technology. Remember, you can find your answers, but if there's any other best practices or tips or tricks that you have discovered from doing the work and learning your workflows, well, please put them in there to share with the other communities so they can take advantage of the awesome things that you've done for their community as well. So with that, I wish you luck with the 1MC Experience platform. I know you're going to do great things for you and your community.